Story time about how my husband makes me pay for everything and still controls all of my money while he's totally unemployed and broke. Disclaimers are not my story time, and send me on Instagram. My husband and I have been married for 6 years. 2 of those years we were separated and we recently got back together last year. He lost his job during COVID, so when we got back together, he didn't have a lot of money. Obviously, I didn't really mind. I was just happy we were getting back together. And if you're wondering why we separated, it's because he got really jealous and controlling of everything I ever did. When we got back together, I told him that he needed to change that. And I really could see a change in him this time around. The only problem was that he refused to get a job. I have a really good salary. I make about $80,000 a month. Theoretically, I could totally support him. When I asked him why he didn't want to get a job, he told me that it just wasn't for him. And he also told me that he wanted some time off and he just wanted to travel. Well, this is when things start to get complicated. When we got back together, he was living with his parents, so he ended up moving into my very nice apartment. I live in a really beautiful high-rise. I have a doorman, a gym, indoor pool, and then he moved in with all of his junk. I had to start paying for everything. Anytime he wanted to go to dinner or order food or buy groceries, I was the one footing the bill. He even uses my Amazon account to order whatever he wants. While he was at home playing video games, I was in my office working my ass off. But things get worse. Part 2 is up. Story time about how my husband controls all my money while he's unemployed and totally broke. Disclaimers is not my story time, and send me on Instagram. After 3 months of me paying for everything and him using my Amazon account to buy whatever he wanted, including gaming consoles, this man had the audacity to tell me that I was spending too much money on my designer bags. Yeah, you heard that right. One day I decided to treat myself for my birthday by getting myself a Chanel bag. As soon as he saw the new purchase, he started acting like I was addicted to shopping. And then he starts bringing up all these other things. How I like going to Starbucks, how I like going to the nail salon, and that's when I realized it. He had access to my bank account. He could see all of the transactions that I was making. And of course he could. I was in my office all day while he had access to my laptop at home. And of course it didn't occur to me to change my passwords. I was actually really shocked when he started bringing all of this up. Then he suggested that I should let him manage my money. And at first I just went with it. Said okay, and that's when he literally took my credit card from me. Then he started moving money around my accounts and started buying crypto. After 2 months of that, I was done. I asked him to give me my credit card back, which he did. He started guilting me into feeling like I shouldn't go to the nail salon and do these little small things that make me feel good about myself. He was brainwashing me. A few weeks later, it was time for me to upgrade my car. So I decided to get a Tesla. And when I told him, he got so angry. I could see in his face that he was so envious. He spent 2 hours trying to talk me out of getting the stupid Tesla. But the very next day, I went straight to the Tesla store and bought my car. When I finally got the car, he started driving it all over town before I drove it. Part 3 is up. Story time about how my husband controls all my money while he's totally broke and unemployed. Disclaimers is not my story time, and send me on Instagram. After he started driving my brand new Tesla before I did, I started getting really snippy with him. I was always angry and in a bad mood. That's when he started getting even more controlling and this time jealous again. He started to suspect that I was cheating on him. He started showing up to my office to just check on me. By the way, I'm totally aware that if I leave him, he has no money. So of course he's going to be totally controlling of me. Unfortunately, this is when we started getting into really big fights. I reproached him for everything. Him controlling all of my money and literally telling me what I could or could not buy. And I finally mustered up the courage to ask him to get a job again. And I told him that if he didn't get a job to start paying for half of the bills and everything else, that I would simply file for divorce. He started to cry and he threw a tantrum, but eventually he said yes. Do you think that he moved a muscle to go get a job? No, he didn't. So I took it upon myself to see if my company was hiring. And they did. So now he's got a really good job because of me. I revoked all his access to my accounts and I have full control of all the crypto. Now I give him a weekly allowance. I cannot wait until he starts getting paid. My parents think I should get a divorce, but I'm not sure. What should I do? I hooked up with my dad's best friend and now I'm pregnant. Should I tell my dad? When I grabbed his thigh, he told me that I needed to look for somebody my own age. I started to laugh and asked why. That's when he said that he would never want to do anything to jeopardize his relationship with my dad and that I was way too young for him. I told him my dad had nothing to do with it and that we were both consenting adults. Then all he said was nice try. Of course I felt rejected, but I knew that he was attracted to me too. So I knew that all I had to do was wait. A few weeks later, my dad had a get together with some of his friends. And of course his best friend was there too. And this time he looked so good. So I decided to make another move. While my dad was in the backyard with all his friends, I asked his best friend to come with me to the kitchen. As soon as we stepped into the kitchen, he grabbed my hand and told me that I needed to calm down. I told him there was nothing wrong with us liking each other. And then he kissed me. And oh my god, he's such a good kisser. But the kiss only lasted like 3 seconds. He went back outside and didn't talk to me for the rest of the night. I was hooked at that point. A few weeks later, I went out with some friends and told my dad that I needed him to pick me up. But of course, I knew my dad was on a business trip. So guess who he sends? His best friend. But when he came to pick me up, I decided to act like nothing had happened. When I got in the car, we didn't say a word to each other. He just started driving me home. Once we were a block away from my house, he parked his car. Suddenly, he starts kissing me and it was so amazing. And we ended up hooking up in his car that night. Part 3 is up. I hooked up with my dad's best friend and now I'm pregnant. Should I tell my dad? After the night we hooked up in his car, we didn't speak for about 2 weeks. But of course I played it cool. I just pretended like I didn't care. My mom and dad's anniversary was a few days at this point, so my siblings and I decided to have a party for them. And of course we invited my dad's best friend. I knew I had to look absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I wore a beautiful lavender silk dress, which fit like a glove. The festivities were amazing and my parents had a great time. And the entire night my dad's best friend just kept staring at me. But like I said, I was playing hard to get. We had a live band and catering for the whole event, so everyone was out on the dance floor. Seeing as everyone was distracted, I decided to go to the kitchen because I knew that he would follow me. And he did. Once he came into the kitchen, he started kissing me. Then we went inside the pantry and hooked up again. Before we went back to the party, he told me he had really serious feelings for me. And I told him I did too. That's when he told me that we should be honest with my parents and tell them the truth. Because he really wanted a relationship with me. A few days later, we told my parents while at dinner. My dad absolutely lost it. I managed to calm him down and we all talked. Been a few weeks now and he's come to accept it a little more. But now I've missed my period. The test came out positive and I haven't told anybody. I'm so scared. What should I do? My best friend projects her insecurities on me. Should I break up with her? I could see through the mirror that she had rolled her eyes at me. Then she started making other comments about my appearance. Mind you, I'm getting ready for a date. When I showed her the outfit that I was gonna wear, she said it was too revealing and that I would probably scare him off. Wasn't even revealing, it just showed my legs. It was a cute sundress with the cardigan on top. I told her I thought I looked cute. And then she said, "Allá tu amiga." As I'm finishing up my hair and my makeup, she says, "Wow, you're gonna wear that much makeup?" But the way she said it was so aggressive, I actually took off the lipstick I was wearing. Instead, I just put on lip balm. I looked at her and she had a smile on her face. It was like she was happy she finally got to me. The date went really well and he actually turned into my boyfriend a few weeks later. And guess what? My best friend started judging everything about him. The first time she met him, she started saying, "Wow, I think he's balding," which he isn't. And even if he was, I wouldn't care. She also started making comments about him staring at other girls, something I never even noticed that he did, and I would know I'm with him all the time. It's like she was trying to plant all these insecurities in my head. One day, Lucia and my boyfriend and I are in his car. We were heading to the movie theaters when Lucia says, "Wow, you put on way too much perfume. It's giving me a headache." That's when my boyfriend told her that if it bothered her that much, she should just go home. And out of nowhere, Lucia swung her fist at him. She actually tried to attack him. Part 3 is up. My best friend always projects her insecurities on me. Should I break up with her? That's when she started swinging at my boyfriend. Luckily, I yelled at her and she stopped. It's like she was upset at me for yelling at her for trying to hit my boyfriend. That's when my boyfriend kicked her out of the car and I asked him to calm down. I got out of the car with Lucia and asked her to calm down. That's when she told me that I needed to break up with him and that he was clearly abusive. I told her he was just defending me. Then she said, "He doesn't need to defend you. I'm only saying this because I care about you." Then she called herself an Uber and left. My boyfriend and I went to the movie theaters and we had a really nice night. Here's some more examples of her projecting on me. While we were getting ready for a friend's birthday party, she started pointing out some stuff on my body. She said, "Your elbows are really dark. You need to fix that." Another time I decided to get some highlights and she said they looked horrible on me. She said I looked like a JLo wannabe. Luckily I didn't care and I just kept the highlights. Mind you, 2 months later she got the exact same highlights. Now, I know that she cares about me because she does have my back. She'll help me with anything I need, honestly. And I wonder if I'm overreacting, but I don't think so. I just don't know how to tell her that she's toxic. She makes me feel bad. What should I do? Caught my husband making out with another man on our honeymoon and I'm refusing to give him a divorce. My husband and I met on a blind date. Our friends had set us up and they made him sound like a Greek god. And he kind of is. He's super tall, attractive, Greek, tan. His dream is to become a politician and he owns several businesses. I own my own marketing agency and we're both addicted to work. We're literal workaholics. When we went on our first date, I was so surprised to see how much we had in common. Both super work driven. We also found a lot of the same things funny. This was such a relief to me because I'd never been on a blind date before. And we talked about a lot of stuff, including our sexy preferences. He told me he only liked women and I was like, okay, cool. And I told him, of course, I only liked men. We actually ended up going on a total of 15 dates before he asked me to be his girlfriend. Everything just felt so amazing and right. We had amazing chemistry, he made me laugh, and we had a lot of fun in the bedroom. After a few months, he asked me to be his wife and I was so happy I said yes. We hired the best wedding planner in our city and we got to planning. We were both really involved in everything. The wedding was spectacular. We got married in the winter, so it was snowing outside. It was beautiful. We had an orchestra, amazing catering, so I was really happy. The day after that, we went on our honeymoon. Planned to go to several Greek islands. Our first stop was Santorini. I actually got in really good shape for the honeymoon. I had abs. I wanted to look as sexy as I could for him. A few days into our stay, we found this really cute cafe, and the server at the cafe was actually really handsome. Him and my husband got along really well. So well that I caught them making out at our hotel. Part 2 is up. I caught my husband kissing another man on our honeymoon and I'm refusing to give him a divorce. As I walked into the hotel, I could see two men kissing in a corner. Obviously, I didn't know it was my hubby, so I turned away. I went straight up to our bedroom and I couldn't find him. I called his cell phone, but there was no answer, so I went right back down to the lobby. And this is when I look again at the two guys kissing in the corner. I could only see one of the guys' backs, and obviously I didn't recognize it as my husband. Not until I see my husband's hand creeping up on the back of this guy's neck. And immediately I recognize his hand and the ring. I thought it was a joke at first, until I could see they were passionately making out. I yelled my husband's name and they both turned to look at me. That's when I saw it was the server from the damn cafe that my husband and I had been going to almost every single morning. The same guy my husband was talking to almost every single day. The server ran out of the hotel. He obviously was not looking to confront me. That's when my husband grabs my arm and takes me to the pool area. That's when he confessed that he thought he was bi and that he was just experimenting. And he also said that the server basically forced him to kiss him. I told him he should have been honest with me from the beginning about being attracted to guys, and that the least he could have done was not make out with this guy in the hotel of our lobby. He started to apologize, but I couldn't even talk to him. I still wanted to enjoy the trip, so I got my own hotel room. That very same night, my husband tells me that we should consider a divorce, and that he thinks he might have really serious feelings for the server. I said no. I would be so embarrassed if I go home right now and tell my entire family and friends that my husband left me for another man. Not to mention the fact that he totally wasted my time. I asked him if we could just work this out, and he's asking for an open relationship now. And of course, I'm totally in love with him. We just got married. I'm just so confused. What should I do?